Okay, after losing a hard drive and having to go and reinstall the operating system on this server PC, I'm back. It is the 22nd of February 2016, just after 8:30 p.m. and what we're looking at is a precipitation total map, estimated precipitation totals from February 15th, 12 Zulu to February 22nd, 12 Zulu, and yeah, you can see that in my area just got a little bit under a half of an inch of rainfall. It was rather disappointing to say the least because it is February. It's supposed to be the wettest time of the year. This month we've only had a little less than a half an inch, and well, let me tell you why. The weather controllers have pretty much blocked almost every single system that wanted to come in this month. That's quite a shame because we do need the precipitation quite badly. Anyways, let's go and play back a satellite loop showing the storm heading into my area. You're going to see that this cloud mass right over here suddenly develops into something, and how fast it disappears. I believe this storm right here was a psychological operation just to make us think that we're doing okay when it comes to precipitation, but with all the hot weather that is currently or is about to go and invade, that half inch of precipitation is going to do zero to help with the drought situation, the man-made drought situation. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. We'll play this. Yeah, I think that's better. Let's play this now, and okay, you see this thing suddenly developing, and yeah, clouds developing, and then shortly after just a tad bit of rain, they start spraying into the front, and that pretty much shuts down the rainfall. See right about here, that's when things start going downhill. You see the aerosol clouds appearing, the wispy stuff. Getting a little bit of rain, and then afterwards everything starts diminishing, and you see the little wispy lines. This loop runs from February 17th 9 Zulu to February 19th 1 Zulu. Forgot to say that in the beginning, but you get the picture. See this thing spinning up. Rain starts developing, but this center of the low pressure, amazingly, it pretty much diminishes as it heads on shore right away. And it's just very, very odd times we're living in. We see a bunch of weird stuff happening because these systems are modified, manipulated, and shoved off very rapidly. I mean, see that thing break up over time. That's very, very odd. I don't think a natural low pressure would lose shape that fast. Okay, let's stop that. Minimize some lagging. Go into water vapor mode and play. This is the same time. Okay. See this water vapor thing developing, and then yeah, rain starts appearing, and then right after this area right here gets drier, that's when the aerosols start appearing and the rain shuts off. Let's actually pan down a little bit more. See, this thing's allowed to develop. Then, yeah, right here, bam, aerosols start flooding in, rain gets shut off. Let's actually zoom in even more, at least try to. Yeah, a lot of dry air floods in and aerosols, and that's pretty much the end of the rain. It's very, very short-lived, the event, I'm telling you. Okay, it has been a few days since the storm has impacted us in Southern California, and you can see that there's a system out just north of Hawaii that is starting to grow very rapidly. This thing would have been a great rainmaker, but unfortunately you're going to see what happens with it. Pretty much diminishes. This loop right here shows February 21st, 7 to 10:30 Zulu. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit more, and yeah, you see this thing is really starting to go take shape. But unfortunately, though, towards the west side of the core, seems like the flow is going in a more clockwise fashion, just like right here. That just looks a little bit odd. Yeah, the west side of the core in the system is always going to be weak. I'm telling you, it's not natural at all. The clockwise rotation indicates descending air, high pressure. Okay, let's slow this down a bit and just see what's happening here. There's not much development on the west side of the core at all. It's pretty much diminishing as this thing wraps around. Pretty much hits a brick wall. When you watch the whole loop of this thing, it's pretty amazing. You can notice to the south of this system, there's some pretty intense aerosols being laid down here. That's just a little bit northeast of Hawaii, and that's going to go and flow into the west coast, prevent any sort of precipitation, low pressure systems from developing on this area. They want to keep this high pressure down here, so the system gets blocked, isn't allowed to go into the west coast. Okay, these aerosols here are serving two purposes. They are there to go and migrate the moisture above us and help the high pressure ridge stay in position. It's pretty amazing, I must say. Okay, this is about 24 hours later, a little less than 24 hours. February 22nd, 3 to 6:30 Zulu. You can see that this storm right here, the surface area has gotten quite a bit bigger. Unfortunately though, towards the core, we have a problem. Okay, first off, on the west side, not all the moisture that's wrapping around is able to go into that core. It's suddenly disappearing for no good reason. It's very amazing. Not only that, though, there's not much rotation right in the center of this thing. I think it's even leaning them a little bit more towards clockwise. I mean, look at all this momentum around here. There's no reason why it shouldn't continue all the way into the core. That's just very odd. Look at all this moisture diminishing as it heads more towards the west and tries to wrap around. Everything just becomes more disorganized. It's like it's hitting a wall. That's pretty amazing. Towards the west coast, you can see that the chemtrail activity has really expanded out. It's heavy chemtrails being laid here, and that's going to help the ionospheric heaters. Not only that, it's going to help create that capping inversion and prevent any sort of low pressure systems from forming in this thing, which would completely throw off their plans to keep the drought going in California. You know, this moisture right here is actually going to go down and form a low pressure near Texas in the next 24 hours here. Still, look at that odd activity over New Mexico. Very interesting. Okay, let me show you the relative humidity maps now at this time. We're pretty close. This is February 22nd, 0 Zulu. This is 1000 millibars surface humidity. You can see that it's very moist over the ocean. As you head more inland, humidity drops drastically. It's under 20% in most inland areas. Towards central and northern California, though, the humidity's a bit more. Still pretty low for this time of year. Supposed to be getting storms and everything. Saturate the atmosphere with humidity. Okay, 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. Whoa, what a difference here. There's a ton of dry air off of our coast. Absolute shift. Just look how dry it is. Again, I believe that this dry air is being caused by the ionospheric heaters. The chemtrails are not helping with the situation. They also can create quite a bit of dryness. Okay, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. Huge amount of dry air over central and southern California and off the coast. The dry air even extends into most of Baja. It's insanely dry, less than 10%. Okay, 500 millibars. Again, you see this insanely dry air pocket sitting over most of Baja and central and southern California. Less than 10% humidity. Some areas get less than 20, but still, just a few percentage points. It's still very, very dry. Now here's the kicker. 300 millibars, 30,000 feet. There's a lot of humidity going into California. That explains why there's a lot of aerosols. They don't want anything forming and disrupting their flow. See, all the moisture's going right above us, and that's what they want. They just want to keep everything going above us, keep the drought going, while creating other weather events for other parts of the country. Okay, this is the sea surface pressure analysis for February 22nd, 0 Zulu. See, there's a pretty strong high parked off the west coast. It's 1,028 millibars. To the west a bit, there's this very strong low pressure system that's 965 millibars. And it's being blocked by the high pressure. It's not going to go and bring us precipitation like we would expect. Okay, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. We have this high pressure that's marked right here, 5,888 millibars, I believe. And we have this low right here, 5,157 millibars. Very strong low pressure. Okay, this is 300 millibars, 30,000 feet. There's high pressure indicated here, although it's not marked. Still see the curvature for it. Again, this low pressure is pretty strong at 8,710 millibars. Jet stream at this level is going right into California. That explains why there's a lot of aerosols being laid. Okay, this is the visible satellite. This is for February 22nd, 1930 to 23 Zulu. You notice that off the west coast, there's quite a bit of opening. Extends, well, way down from Baja all the way up into coast of Washington. You see the general clockwise flow here indicated by the clouds. There's quite a bit more high pressure around now to again block this system from heading into the west coast. You can also see there's quite a bit of aerosols being laid. That's going to help with the high pressure, create that capping inversion. Everything's pretty much set up now to block the storm from entering the state. Let's take a look at this low pressure system. Looks like it's getting a bit beat up, in my opinion. Look at these arches appearing in the clouds. One right here, one right here, one right here, one right here, one right here. That's kind of interesting. That doesn't really look too natural. I think one of these right angle things are starting to form. It's not really too visible in this view, but you'll see it water vapor, and the other map is definitely getting an odd shape. Right Right here seems to be going a little bit more towards clockwise. And its area is opening up. Yeah, this whole thing is completely messed up. I think those arches are being caused by the descending dry air. Let's see what's happening down here. This front's being all beaten up. See these little half rings appearing? Definitely looks like a result of descending air. It's very interesting. Still, what really catches my eye is all this opening off the west coast. Okay, this is a few hours later. This is February 22nd going into the 23rd, 2332, 3 Zulu, and you can see in water vapor map things look a lot worse off. This low pressure is pretty much done for. It's been beaten up severely. Not much rotation at all towards the center. Again, as this moisture tries to go and wrap around, it's disappearing as it heads towards the west side. It's just very odd. See, clockwise in various places. Here, 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 where this moisture is just magically disappearing. Yeah, you get the picture. The system has been completely screwed up. That's what happens to systems that they do not want heading into the west coast. They just completely squash it. Also, look at this right here. The right angle is almost complete. These lines are very straight. That's amazing. Mother Nature doesn't do that. She usually, makes things more in a spiral pattern, not sharp angle patterns like this. Let's play this. You can see all the chemtrails being laid off the west coast much more heavily now. And that's just going to prevent any sort of precipitation from falling, keep everything all dry, keep their high pressure operation in place. Look to the east of us a bit. There's a low pressure forming over Texas. Okay, this is the shortwave for the same time. Not really too much else to see other than the disorganization and clearing off the west coast. All the chemtrails being laid down and low pressure developing over Texas. Okay, let's start at this low pressure. What we're seeing is not a whole lot of rotation near the core. There's even some clockwise rotation appearing. See these clouds disappearing as well. Chemtrails are being laid up here, of course. That's going to help with the ionospheric heaters and crushing this thing. And just look at that. In other views, these chemtrails are not visible, but surprisingly in shortwave shows up. See right here. Anyways, you just see how broken this thing is. There's clockwise rotation. This moisture is disappearing. Okay, let's pause this. Again, we see pretty much a right angle front appearing. There also seems to be a funny angle in this storm just west of this. That's kind of funny. Okay. And over California, again you see the chemtrails. Okay, let's look at the history of this storm. This loops from February 21st, 11:30 Zulu to February 23rd, 3 Zulu. Let's go and zoom in here. Okay, let's play this. You see right from the start something's not right. There's always seems to be a bit of clockwise rotation on the west side, and moisture's not being allowed to completely wrap around. You can see towards the core that there's not much momentum, but over here there is quite a bit. So basically the momentum's being cancelled out by descending dry air over the system. That explains why we're seeing this. Let's speed this up. I'll tell you, if this system was completely left alone, we would have gotten at least 3 to 4 inches out of this. Probably more. Much needed precipitation here has been once again shut down due to the weather controllers. So just look at that thing getting completely thrown apart. It hasn't even gotten a chance to develop fully before them blowing it apart. Look at all the chemtrails. There goes a rain chance. It's absolutely horrible. Okay, let's zoom in. Just look at that core. It's very disorganized. See clockwise rotation and everything. And it ends in one of these weird angle things. Okay, let's go and play the shortwave now. Okay, you notice right off the bat the west side of the storm is not looking so great. The beefy clouds aren't allowed to go over here, and towards the core stuff's bubbling up, but it's not a vigorous rotation like we would expect. I mean, over here's fine, but towards the center and west side is completely shut down due to the descending air. And you notice since high pressure has been installed off the west coast, this system has nowhere else to go besides north. So, yeah, no rainfall for us. Not even one single drop. Okay, let's stop that and go on to the relative humidity maps. This is 1000 millibars surface. This is for February 23rd, 0 Zulu. You notice that over Southern California, the air's pretty dry, and that's because we've been getting a offshore wind that helps dry out everything and raises the temperatures a bit. There's still a little bit of moisture around the Sierras, but it isn't really too much. Off the coast, though, there's quite a bit of humidity, but unfortunately, though, the layer is very shallow because if you look, 850 millibars, 5,000 feet, holy crap, that's a lot of dry air off of the coast, extending out into the Pacific quite a bit. That's less than 10%. Very, very dry. Central and Northern California have a bit of humidity, but Southern California is still very dry at this level for the most part. 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. Large amount of dry air off the west coast. It extends out quite a bit. Again, less than 10% in most places. Over here is less than 20. There's a little bit of moisture here, but not much. 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. That's an insane amount of dry air out in the Pacific. Okay, 300 millibar, 30,000 feet. Still quite a bit of moisture going into California, hence the crazy amount of spraying that we've seen today. Moisture's just going right above us. Not even one drop has fallen due to the capping inversion and dry air. Okay, this is the sea surface pressure analysis. You can see the high pressure along the west coast. That's not a surprise. You can see though that the low pressure system is weakened. It's now 967 millibars. Before it was a bit lower. 965 millibars. Something like that. Meaning the low pressure is weakening. Okay, 500 millibar, 18,000 feet. High pressure is indicated all along the west coast. Hey, this thing's marked. Good for them. Low pressure, again, is weaker. This thing is showing 5,169 millibar. That's up from 5,157 millibars just about 24 hours. So yeah, that system is definitely weakening. Okay, this is 300 millibar, 30,000 feet. Again, high pressure all along the west coast. Like a blockade. It seems like this low pressure has actually strengthened at this level. That's very interesting. Eight thousand 710 millibar. 8,000, I think that's a 695. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's strengthened a little bit despite the fact that it looks all disorganized. I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, let's quickly look over the NASA Worldview. We're going to be doing from February 20th to the 22nd, which is today. Okay, February 20th. You can see that this low pressure system is developing. Nothing too weird about it yet, other than aerosols being laying ahead of this thing. There are some aerosols on the west coast. Central and Northern California are getting it pretty good. Washington and Oregon as well. You can see all these, you can see these lines and this off-white, dirty-looking crap. Under this dirty-looking white are legitimate. Wow, look at that very blatant line off the coast of Oregon. Okay, Northern California and Central California getting hit pretty hard. Southern California, well, there's a little bit of chemtrails, but it's not nearly as bad as up to the north. Okay, moving on. February 21st. This low pressure system right here has gone massive. Unfortunately though, this core right here doesn't look too organized. Look at this waviness here. I know that there's a lot of frequencies at work. Wow, look at that. That's amazing. This whole west side is pretty much screwed up. Anyways, yeah, this low pressure system doesn't look too healthy. And look at all this stuff being broken up. Off the coast of California, you see that this moisture flow is wanting to head in. So they're basically chemtrailing the crap out of it. Look at all these lines as well. Yeah, there's a lot of energy at work here, keeping this high pressure in place. Let's pan towards the south. Some lines here. Very blatant. And finally, February 22nd. This is today. This low pressure system is still looking pretty unhealthy. See these few arches around. Again, the west side is being completely demolished. The center doesn't look too organized. It's not a nice spiral like you would expect. Here's these arches around here. Just a nice view of them. Look at all these wavy patterns all throughout. Wow. I'm telling you, the system's completely screwed up. And off to the east a bit, near California, chemtrails are continuing to be laid down. It's because of all that moisture wanting to come in. They have to keep that high pressure in place, create that capping inversion so nothing happens. These lines are very blatant off of San Francisco. There was quite a bit of spray in Southern California today as well, but here it doesn't show up too well. See a little bit of haze right off the coast near LA, but other than that though, not too much. But trust me, there was quite a bit of spraying. All this stuff moved in later and covered our sky in a dirty white canopy. Alright, I think that's about it. Thank you for watching and please share. We must continue to expose these weather warfare crimes being waged against us.